Hello, YouTube. It's me, Justin. Once again, new to YouTube. This would be my third official video. My topic today is basically um, just talking about my experiences with the loss of my mother and suicide and my uncles. And just This is off topic, but my second video. When I had talked about AA and to, you know, a lot of people, you know, smell alcohol in people's breath or whatever. That's basically your first introduction to AA. I don't want people to think, oh, I go to AA all the time, stay drunk, and people don't encourage that, but they understand when you first come in. So I wanted to clarify that. Not everybody in AA is drinking. It's just the newcomers before they start. As they're stepping foot in for the first time. So I mean, they won't tolerate it if you continue. So, but anyways, now my experience with suicide started back when I was 12 years old, when I lost my first uncle to suicide, my Uncle Al. Who my mother was very close to. Her two brothers, my Uncle Al and my Uncle Doug, extremely close. And I remember finding out when I got off the school bus, and that was my introduction to suicide. And it was extremely hard. I watched my mom from that day forward continue to spiral down for years and years and years. I saw her go up, I saw her go down, but it was like getting the rug ripped out from underneath her, and I had to witness it. I was devastated, but at a young age, it was hard for me to the whole concept. As I got older, I learned more. But I developed a real strong bond with my Uncle Doug after the fact, and stayed in contact with him throughout the years. I actually traveled to New York City. I went to Connecticut and stayed with him for 2 weeks, and took me to Manhattan, saw the Statue of Liberty, took me to the Metropolitan Museum because I'm an artist. Well, I was an artist. I gave up on that dream. But anyways, he and I developed an extremely strong bond. And matter of fact, it was when I found out that my daughter's mother, was pregnant. My uncle was supposed to fly to come visit me. I was going to pay for his plane ticket, and everything was fine. Talked to him on the phone, and 2 days later, I'm expecting my uncle in a week, and I get a knock at the door, and I open it up, and there's my mom, full blown tears, and I knew right then something bad. That pit of your stomach. And I asked her what was wrong. I ran out, freaking out. When you see your mother like that, something terrible's wrong. And she said, Dougie, that's what she called him. She said, Dougie's gone. I was like, what are you talking about? She said, he killed himself. And just talking about it right now, I haven't talked about it in years. I'm getting goosebumps just like it was, reliving it. That's the problem with, losing. It's hard enough losing a family member, but losing them to suicide, it's, in my opinion, it's a double kick in the gut. So, so basically, after my uncle Al committed suicide, my mom and my Uncle Doug made a pact that they wouldn't go down that same path. And I'm expecting to see my uncle in a week, and then he takes his life. And he actually used the same shotgun that my first uncle used. And in order to get the courage enough to do it, he was in recovery. He was sober for years, and in his letter, he went and bought a bottle of vodka, and he pounded it down, and he pulled into a park, and the rest is history. That right there was, losing my Uncle Al was hard enough on my mom, but to lose my Uncle Doug and was way harder on me. Not harder on my mother. It was harder on me than my first loss with my Uncle Al. So I had developed this extremely strong bond with my uncle. So it was more impactful because I was older. I was in my 20s. And, you know, I had to watch my mom go even deeper. And from that point on, you know, I never saw my mom happy again. She, you know, faked it, put on a fake smile. And, you know, years later, you know, 3 years in October, or October will be 3 years, you know, and my mother and I, we had a pact that we were never going to do that because we know how hurtful it is and how destructive it is to family members, you know. So I'm going to fast forward past all that and get to the emotions that, you know, people that are going to watch this video, if they do see this video, that you know, if it's new or, you know, it's 3 years and I still, if something comes up, my wife, for our 1 year anniversary, made me this beautiful sculpture because she's an artist, and as soon as I opened it and I saw it, my reaction was, oh, I gotta send a text to my mom, show her this picture. That fast. It entered my mind that fast, and then it left that fast. And, you know, it hasn't subsided. There's, you know, I have dreams where I dream that my mom was really alive, and it was all a hoax. And then I wake up, and it's just like, oh, you know, just like reliving the nightmare over and over again. But there's so many emotions involved because you've lost your loved one. I lost my mom, my best friend at the time, who was always there for me no matter what. You know, she didn't baby me, and she raised me to be a man, which I tried my best, but alcohol definitely blurred that factor. But my mom was an alcoholic. She was a functioning alcoholic. She went to work every day, you know, but she had her vodka. The problem with my mother and I's relationship, we loved each other. I still love her today because I believe in, you know, she's in a better place. But we mixed like oil and water because we were both alcoholics. So we enabled each other. When I was sober and she was down and out, I tried to help get her through the detox program. But being around that, then it triggered me to drink. When we hung out together, you know, not bars or nothing like that, just at her house and stuff, you know, we would drink together and talk about old times, and, you know, and then all of a sudden we both were in the, you know, on a binge. And so it was so hard because it was so close to my mom, and knowing we both agreed, you know, we love each other so much, but together we're our own worst enemy. So many times my mom had attempted suicide, and I was there. I would get the call, and I would rush right over there, call 911, broke in the door. The worst one was when I actually had to perform CPR on my mother until the ambulance got there, and they had taken her to the facility, and she told me afterwards, 7 days later, when they let her out of the what I call the boogie ward, the mental ward, that if she were to ever attempt something like that, she's done so much damage on her heart from, you know, taking all these pills and ODing. So, you know, she promised me that that would never happen again. And I'm not really going to get into the story of, you know, how and when, but it was the emotions that I dealt with after. You know, why did you leave me? Why on earth, you know, would you leave my daughter and I on this earth alone because she was our rock, so to speak? And then I carried the emotional burden of losing my mom, and then I had this resentment, not anger, but just, you know, hurt, devastated. You know, why would you betray me like that? And that's what's hard about dealing with a suicide in your family, is that resentment. And one thing that I can't stand, and there are going to be some viewers, if they do see this video, that are going to disagree with me. You know, they say it's a cowardly act. It's an easy way out. To be honest with you, it takes a lot of balls, pardon my French, to take your own life. I've seen documentaries of men on death row that are too afraid to take their own life. Prisoners. So a cowardly act, I don't believe it's a cowardly act. You know, do I believe, you know, it's a permanent solution to a temporary problem? Absolutely. But, you know, and for people to belittle people after, to take their life, you have to be in some serious pain or some serious financial issues, or, it's definitely something wrong. But you have to be supportive of a family member. And like I said in my videos before, I don't care if you get 1,000 phone calls. If you got to call 911 1,000 times, it takes that one call that you ignore. And like I said, it wasn't me that ignored it. I didn't get that phone call. Because I believe my mom was completely serious on this one, because she didn't call me because she knew if she would have called me, I'd have been there in a split second and the cops would be beating down her door and the ambulance. So anyways, I'm not going to say it gets any easier. It won't get, time heals all wounds. Well, maybe it's going to take me 10 or 15 years. But, the guilt process that you feel, I encourage people that are going through it, do not feel guilty. You cannot control what somebody feels. They love you. I mean, I love my daughter more than life itself. And apparently 2 months after my mom had taken her life, I had hung myself. And I was pronounced 3 times, or dead 3 times. 1 time on the way to the hospital and 2 times at the hospital. By the grace of God, I'm here. I didn't die. But the weird thing is I lost all memory a month before it happened and a month after. And what's weird is I was actually on the job site working, and it's almost like I woke up and I was like, wow, what's going, I do not remember a month before and a month after. And as much as I love my daughter, why on earth would I do what my mom did to her? I mean, how selfish of me, but I don't even remember doing it, and I don't even know if I was sober or drunk when I did it, because of the loss of oxygen in my brain. That, I had slight brain damage. But, I put my daughter in the position that, like my mother did me. But, I blame myself for, in the back of my mind, I still blame myself. Why wasn't I there, to stop her this time? And then I've come to accept it and let go of resentment, because I look at it this way. My mom had a horrible life growing up, in a horrible marriage with my father, physical abuse, and my stepfather, 10 times worse. And if both of y'all, you'll get this in every video. My stepfather and my father. Extremely violent, abusive relationship. And like I said, stemming from her childhood and being molested. So I have actually come to accept my mom's suicide as, there's a selfish act, an unconscious selfish act that we all have. A thought. We want that person around. You do not want your family members to die. But if they are suffering, it's like putting down a dog. You don't want to put down your dog because you want them there for your own self. It's a selfish act, but not in a negative way. I would love for my mom to be here today. I'd give anything. But would she be happy? No, she would be miserable. Absolutely miserable and depressed, even, putting on a fake smile. We've tried everything from AA to, the psych ward, which down in Florida, I'm sorry, if you don't have top-notch insurance, the psych ward, they put you in there for 7 days. They don't talk to you. They just monitor you, and they treat you like a criminal. And they put you in places, like my mom was terrified because there would be, schizophrenics and people just crazy yelling and screaming. That's no place to seek help. The best thing that I say is find a support group. Watch videos like this on YouTube. No, you're not alone. But once you break away from the guilt factor, thinking I could have stopped it, once that person makes up their mind that, they're going to take their life, sometimes there's no stopping, And I look at it now as, my mom's free from suffering. And that comes to another thing. when it comes to religion, and I'll get some backlash on this, and I don't care, truly. But my belief is you do not go to hell if you take your own life. And I don't encourage people to think, I don't, I'm not going to go to hell. I'm going to take my life. Please do not take it that way. But my view is God gave us compassion and love and forgiveness. He instilled that in our souls. When our children do wrong, we forgive them. When they're sad and depressed, we embrace them. Now, how could a God that created us to have that emotion, to see one of his own children in so much pain, and people say God can only put on you so much what you can handle. Well, in a sense, I don't believe that. Maybe he does, but some people can't handle it. Now, is he going to punish you with eternal death? No. So people that have lost a loved one and they're worried that, my mother and my father, they're burning in the pits of hell, that's nonsense. Like I said, God gave us love and compassion. It's why if he created such an emotion, then he has it himself. He or she, but that's my belief. So I believe my mother is in heaven. She's in a better place. She's no longer suffering. And to have her back on this earth is selfish on my part, because to me she's no longer suffering. I don't condone suicide, and I've attempted it, many times. And like I said in my other video, it's, people, it's just a cry for help. You're damn right it is. It is a cry for help, and why would you be angry about that? And, that's a loved one, a family member that you don't ever turn your back on them, because then you can spend the rest of your life, I should have, could have, would have, I should have, I should have called 911, Well, you sat there and you thought, well, it's just a cry for help. You're tired of hearing about it. Well, I'm not putting all the burden on people that, you shouldn't have that burden. But I'm focused more on the younger child that lost their family member. Do never, ever feel in your own heart that your parent or loved one didn't love you, because they absolutely did, and they still love you from where they're at. And it's an extremely hard battle, and battling depression is hard enough. Being an alcoholic and battling depression is 10 times harder. Losing loved ones to suicide is even harder. And a bad childhood and, horrible marriages, man. If I was my size back then, my father and stepfather, that would have never happened. Knocked them out. I'm not going to go there, but anyways. And, another thing, one of my biggest supporters is my brother. And, he's my half brother, which I don't believe in the word half. I don't believe in stepson. He, at the age of 9, my father was married to his mother. She took her life at 9 years old. He had a strong bond with his mom. That was March 27th, 1978. I was born March 25th, 1979, if you do the math. How soon my mom moved in right after, and this 9-year-old boy had lost his mother. And I always, growing up, thought, man, how terrible it must feel, to lose your mother to suicide. And then now, my brother and I, we have, in a strange way, we have, we both went through it. We can relate, so, I don't know, I'm going all over the place. It's just a hard subject, but I'm just urging the people that are out there, to seek help. A psychiatrist will help you out, or a support group. Talk to people that have been through it, that are, further along and it is a recovery too, It's the pain that you have to deal with day in and day out. and there will be times, and I'm not going to come here and say it gets easier, hang in there. But what the tools I'm trying to, give you is, it wasn't your fault. Your loved one loved you very much so. But, certain people can only handle certain things, and they can only be pushed so far. And I'll say it again. Yes, I would love for my mom to be here, but I know for a fact she would just be in the same boat she was in, miserable and depressed. She tried counseling and everything. So, the most amazing woman. Heart of gold. She always got, pardon my French, she got shit on by people. It treated her, took kindness for weakness. And I miss her every day. And you will miss your loved one every day. If you don't, then maybe you got a tougher heart than me. But I'll do this real quick. This is kind of this is might take it the wrong way. Pardon my house. It's gonna get dark. But I don't know if it'll even show up. I doubt it will, because it seems to be dark in here. But that's my mom's urn. That's her ashes, and around it is it's an opal necklace, an antique necklace that my wife had actually purchased and put on there. As my mom's birthstone, my daughter's birthstone, her favorite stone in the world. My mom used to tell me as a child, when I pass away, I get your ashes, and you can do whatever you want with them. You can throw them in the trash, you can dump them in the sea, you can do whatever. Well, sorry, I'm selfish. I'm keeping them. There's no way on earth I could, dump them out in an ocean or something like that. But I've got my mom with me. But I know spiritually she's with me every day. I see signs of it. So, just, I'm gonna do more videos on this because I don't know how to hit every topic. But know you're not alone. Know in your heart that other people, are dealing with it. But it's how you deal with it. As long as you know in your heart that they did not set out to hurt you, and and some people have thoughts like, well, I'm gonna kill myself, and that'll show them, and they're gonna miss me and stuff, and and right there is, that's not the answer either. So.